What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with another tune from the Radio Department, a Swedish band shared with me by Erik. Big shout out to you for sending the CD and much else, of course. And we have started going through their 2010 album, Clinging to a Scheme, and the second track is Heaven's on Fire, which is an interesting phrase. Obviously, there's a sense of, if not contradiction, at least something which seems to be at odds with the typical understanding or perception, meaning heaven, a supernatural domain that is held to be utopian, perfect, blissful, calm and serene, joyful, and to say it's on fire makes it sound more calamitous, dangerous, potentially destructive. And taking that interpretation back down to earth, the idea of a situation, a scenario, a scene, or indeed a scheme that is typically more pleasant, more desirable, and enjoyable, suddenly being in chaos or conflict or danger, would surely be a good time to use this title phrase as a metaphor or figuratively. So that, of course, may have nothing to do with the song, but that's what comes to me. Let's give it a listen. This is the Radio Department from their 2010 album Clinging to a Scheme, and the song is Heaven's on Fire.
People see rock and roll as youth culture, and when youth culture becomes monopolized by big business, what are the youth to do? Do you have any idea? I think we should destroy the bogus capitalist process that is destroying youth culture.
Seems like everyone is on your side.
What a lovely little tune. First of all, I love that opening sample, which, there have been questions that have been asked about things like that in the world of punk rock, in the world of techno, where, there's a youth kind of underground musical / artistic / philosophical culture and scene, and then powerful and or commercial forces get a wind of that and say, hey, there's a market here, there's money to be made, and they start bringing it into the mainstream, but in the process, perhaps, and depending on the specifics, betraying or at least blurring the ethos and the essence of those musical and cultural scenes in the process of trying to mass market them and to make money off of them and to commercialize them. And so saying, hey, when capitalist forces get their hands on a youth movement, like, what does that mean for the movement? What does that mean for the integrity of the scene? And, in the case of punk and techno, the underground can continue even if some of the stylings or even some of the scene is siphoned off or pulled away from its original context. And again, as someone who does like both, let's say, more underground music and more popular / commercial music, there's not necessarily something wrong with that, but there is a reasonable question to be asked as to, what does that mean for the artistic integrity and the people who populate that scene. So I love that opening sample, and then we get this tune, which, it's a bit like jazzy pop. I wouldn't call it jazz per se, but there's definitely a bit of a jazzy feel. There's piano, there's like a more electric or at least keyboard sounding layer above that. There was, I think, eventually a saxophone or some sort of brass instrument, just, little touches, not like a big solo part, but little touches. The overall feel kind of had a pop rock or pop synth rock type of sound. So yeah, I very much enjoy the atmosphere and sonics of that one. Lyrically, I'm not sure what's happening because a lot of the lyrics, or rather a lot of the vocals, they were kind of softly spoken, and the rest of the sonics were sort of surrounding them to the point where, I caught a word here, a word there, but not enough to really get a sense of what's happening lyrically. I did hear the title phrase, Heaven's on Fire, in there, and again, if the sample at the beginning is any hint of that direction, the idea of, again, is this place that was sort of a special thing before, now that, again, corporate entities and those who want to mass market it, now that they're involved, does that mean our little utopian scene, which, might not have been utopian to begin with, but, has that been distorted? Has that been lit on fire? But of course, on fire can also mean something which has energy and flash and something that's very exciting and dynamic. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what's happening. Obviously, anyone who has any insights, please do let me know. But it's one that I will listen to again and let it digest. Let me know what you think. Once again, big shout out to Erik, and I will see you next time. Peace.